Jordan Poblete with DisneyExaminer. I love the fact that we aren't shy about, showing off Polynesian culture and the Oceanic culture here, and I know language is a big part of that. How did you strike the balance between utilizing that language and specifically like what dialects and all that in the movie like this?
Yeah, and as part of our Oceanic Cultural Trust, we have Dr. Grant Wong-Gutitia, who's a linguist. He's self-identifies as Samoan. And he has had a lot of experience over the years working with many Pacific languages. In fact, I think he studied in Hawaii and in Aotearoa. Is very comfortable with Hawaiian, Maori, Tongan, and many of our Polynesian languages. So we worked very closely with him when we had our new characters, our new worlds, and they don't all come from the same sort of place, but a lot of times when we're naming, we're thinking about some of the symbology of the character, what they're trying to portray, maybe what their arc might be in the story. And then we provide that information to Dr. Grant for him to sort of take a look and suggest words that come from Proto-Polynesian language. So that language is a hypothetical language that's been reconstructed by linguists.
Wow.
It comes from like some of the older words in our older parts of the Pacific, and again, is a theoretical language. But for example, the word Moana, the name of our film and our character, comes from Proto-Polynesian. It means a part of the ocean in many Pacific languages. And so we work closely, we think about names, and then we bring the whole trust together and we talk to them about some of our top contenders, because a name might mean something in one culture but something differently, as you know very well. And actually, Lāiana, if you want to talk a little bit about your experience too with just being Hawaiian and hearing some of the names, maybe?
Well, Moana for us is a very Hawaiian word. We have Moana, we have the word Moana Nui Akea for the vast Pacific Ocean. And so it is really neat because even as a Hawaiian language person, it's so fun to see the words that are similar throughout our oceanic families. And what else is similar, some elements of our culture, our history, or like our demigods. For example, Maui is found not only in Hawaii, but of course in Aotearoa, in Samoa, in Tonga, Fiji. They all have their versions and iterations of his story. And so what's neat is you get this kind of this common thread of Maui hooking everything together, which is unique because he was a great voyager. He must have been if he's the one pulling up the islands. And if you're pulling up the islands symbolically, that's like voyaging and finding new lands. And so those famous voyages were called Maui. And so I think it's so unique when you get to see all of these connections and all put together by this famous official.
It's fascinating to me because you guys have the platform of Disney Animation now and being able to build on the success of the original film. I think a lot of people feel really connected to the culture in your own way. How does that make you guys feel? Like the embrace of, or just people being curious about Polynesian culture?
I think for me, it's amazing. It's really cool, at least working on the first film, to see the film in communities and embraced by people regardless of where their background is from. But there's also an immense responsibility that I think comes from, working and being inspired by our cultures, because we aren't a monolith, and it is a challenge to figure out what elements of culture we're going to be showing and what we might not have enough room for because of things like runtime and story. But we've been working as hard as we can to sort of find those shared elements of culture, and then getting specific where we have opportunities, and then hopefully there's some universality in that specificity.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to get to see it because we don't have a lot of projects that highlight our culture or our community at a global scale. We know locally we have some elements, we have plays, we have stories, we have shorts. So to see it at a global scale, I thought it was, when I first saw Moana 1, I actually saw it in Olelo, Hawaii, which is in the Hawaiian language. So that was a whole mind-blowing thing for myself. And so to see our culture at that level, and if you think about this film, everything is cultural in that every design, every way that the hale was, or the fales were laid out, or the va'a, how the lashings were, all of these, what plants are there, everything is cultural. And I think it's kind of neat to see our culture on the screen like that.
Yeah, okay, last question as we wrap. My friend asked me to ask you guys, how do I do a proper Chee?
Oh, I think I'm going to pass this to Lāiana.
What's the process and what's the meaning behind it briefly? Yeah.
It's hard to say what the meaning is. It's kind of, it can vary in different parts of our oceanic families. For us in Hawaii, it's more of a celebratory, like a call out, like it's a chee-hoo, who, you know, it's something of that. So that you emphasize the Chee and then the who, and then you kind of like weave it in.
Yeah.
So it's Chee hoo. There you
Yeah,
go.
perfect.
Great. With gusto.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Celebratory. Well, I'm celebrating you guys today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mahalo.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Great
Mahalo.
to see you.